intuitive voice, then you'll virtually always make the right decision. One day I was running, and I noticed a couple of people that they had somehow managed to lock themselves out of their rental car while the engine was still running. So here were these people standing around, the car's running, and they've got their keys locked in the ignition, and it's running. They were frantically trying to break into the idling car and to get to the airport, which is about 20 miles away. This was on Maui. Several people were attempting to help them, including 2 employees from a security truck. And I observed them, and I was running, and I ran by them, and this inner intuitive voice said, "You can probably help these people." But I continued to run, and I ignored that inner voice. On the way back from my run, which was 40 minutes later, they were still there, and they were still unsuccessful in their attempts to get into the car, and they were getting more and more frustrated because their flight they were going to miss. And I ran past them again, and I was on my way back, and that inner voice was even stronger, and it said, "Go back. I'm really sure that you can help them to solve their problem." I ran about 100 yards further, and then I couldn't ignore it any longer. I went back to the car, and I told the woman who was in a state of panic that I could open her car, since this had happened to me several times. Basically, I had no idea what I was going to do. But I knew there was a knowing, that inner intuitive knowing, that I was there to help them and that I could do it. They had been using a bent clothes hanger for trying to get in, and they'd bent it all around, and then they were trying to brace open the door and catch the lock. But the lock was designed to keep people from doing such things. It was smooth and it was tapered. So I told the woman, "Look, your car's running, and you have power locks on your door. So what we want to do is somehow figure out a way to just touch that power lock. And if we do, we can get a long stick, and it'll open the window, and then you'll be able to get in the car." I turned around, I looked around, and there was a stick. Perfect length, perfect size, just laying there. And I took my room key to where I was staying, and I wedged it into the window, and then took the stick that had been laying right there and just reached it down inside the window. Just barely was able to just have the right length and just touch that button, and the window went down. I left that scene awed by the power of my intuitive voice and a new commitment to never ignore it again. And I have ignored it on occasion since then, and I've paid the price when I do. But it reminded me that that intuitive voice is not only something that you can tap into and use, but when you use it to serve others, you begin to feel like you're on purpose and fulfilling your mission here, and miracles start coming into your life. Listen to your intuition. Your intuition tells you, don't go in that direction. Don't. And most of the troubles that have come into my life, the difficulties, the struggles that I've had, have come because of the unwillingness to listen to that strong, intuitive voice that was saying, "No, don't go in that direction." And if I went in a direction that was inappropriate long enough, then it was almost as if that inner voice said, "All right, then I guess we're going to have to knock you down a couple of pegs. We're going to have to cut your knees right out from underneath you, and you're going to have to go through this kind of a struggle in order to learn it." And sure enough, you go through that struggle, and you take all of the slings and arrows that come your way, and then you've got it. Life gives exams, and you either pass them or you don't. And the exams that life gives, you're warned about, and you have this intuitive kind of notion. You've got to learn how to cultivate the habit of trusting it. And by practicing a follow-up to your intuitive hunches and going with that voice, you'll soon be developing a new habit. Now, you want to be sure to notice that the outcome of the intuitive action. See all of the things that have flowed from following your intuitive voice. Begin to note what kinds of beneficial results flow into your life when you do go with that intuition. These inner conversations that you're having, debating what to do and what course to take, can best be resolved by simply asking, what is the choice that will keep me on purpose? In other words, how may I serve and make this choice? Then go in that direction one step at a time. Before long, your intuition will become your most trusted companion and something that you'll value and celebrate as it surfaces within your mind. Stay on purpose. Let your choices be determined by how you can do that. And your intuition is always guiding you in the direction of your purpose. As you begin to shift from a non-spiritual to a spiritual being, this is your objective. Try restating everything that you dislike about yourself in positive ways, in affirmative ways. So this isn't to fool yourself, just instead of being against your laziness, be for having more energy. See, by being for your energy, you take actions to correct your laziness. By being against your laziness, You'll stay angry and upset with yourself and then weaken your resolve to change. This is true of your weight. Instead of being against your excess baggage, be for slimming down. And so now you don't have to have your energy, your thoughts, your divineness on what it is that you dislike. You can have it on what you're for. Visualize yourself looking the way you want to do. On your addictions, don't hate the alcohol. Don't hate the nicotine. Don't hate the cocaine. Don't hate the poisons that you're putting into your body if you have food addictions. Instead, be for being pure. Be for being perfectly healthy. Be for someone who no longer needs to have these kinds of things in your life. Be for being healthy. Be health rather than be the poison. And as you see yourself and visualize yourself and put your energy on what you are for, rather than on all the hate that you have for the stuff that seems to be controlling your life, you find it much easier to make those shifts. So you want to restate things in terms of what you're for and what you're capable of, and you automatically empower yourself to correct them. If you put your energy on what you dislike, then dislike becomes your energy, and it will continue to dominate your life. Another way to work on becoming a spiritual being is to spend an hour or so each day, or today, or tomorrow for sure, no later, in awe, in total, complete awe. Be thankful for your liver, your hands, your brain, your invisible, incomprehensibly awesome mind. Be in awe of the very fact that you showed up here, particularly when you consider the mathematical odds against it. Just take a look at the functions of your body and the trillions of cells that all work together to make you function perfectly. This sense of awe is something to practice every day. The air you breathe, the water you take for granted, the food that grows from infinitesimally tiny little seeds to nourish you, the atmosphere, the ozone. Be thankful, be appreciative, and also feel a sense of responsibility to your universe. Treat all of life, that is, making this whole thing work on this tiny, fragile planet, with reverence and awe. Know that it's all working purposefully. Just a few minutes a day in total awe will contribute to your spiritual awakening faster than any metaphysics course you could ever take. Enlightenment is simply the silent acceptance and appreciation for what is. So in this very moment, you can get into that state of mind by being thankful for the mind that you have and all the tools that you have just to listen to these words and to realize how magnificently they are all working. Be in awe, and you'll be enlightened. Be enlightened, and miracles will be your way of life. You have a lot to be grateful for. Keep it in mind as you shift from being a non-spiritual being who has no sense of connectedness to the universe to the magnificence that you truly are, and just appreciate it. Begin today affirming, I know I have the power within me to create a life of fulfillment and joy. I am a miracle, and therefore I am a creator of miracles. Truly becoming a spiritual being, having a human experience, rather than the other way around, that is, a human being having a spiritual experience, is really the primary message of these entire tapes. The contents of this tape series can be summarized in the simple words of a beautiful country man who traveled the country in the early 20th century speaking folk wisdom, a man I've admired all my life and loved to listen to his great stories. His name was Will Rogers. He reminded us all with these beautiful words. He said, live your life so that you wouldn't be ashamed to sell the family parrot to the town gossip. Now there's spiritual advice.